Hey everyone, on episode 9 of ByteSized Talks, today we're going to be talking about a little bit about the fires in Maui. There's some weird things happening over there, so we're going to kind of check them out, see what the internet's been saying, put in our own 2 cents. And then 22 years ago, 9/11 happened. And so we're going to talk a little bit about our own personal stories and go from there. So check us out the episode. Hey everyone, my name is Gary, aka Hempy. With us today, of course, we got Julian. Say what's up, man.
Hey everybody, this is Julian or Jooper. Hope everybody's doing well. We got a good episode for you guys today. What do you got, Gary?
So we'll be talking about 9/11. That happened 22 years ago to the date when we're recording this. So it'd be interesting to see like what your story was when you heard the news. I can tell you the way my dad broke the news to us. And then we'll also be talking about the fires in Maui, some of the things that have been happening post it, what are the tinfoily things people are saying, and kind of related to the Chavez Ravine, maybe what happened when they built Dodger Stadium, how that came about. So I think that would be fun, not fun, but interesting to kind of to walk down that path for a little bit.
Wrong choice of words.
Yeah.
Right on. I just noticed we just got back from an episode talking about fashion, and I'm wearing the tackiest t-shirt I could possibly find.
I mean, it's fitting, right? Like,
yeah, it goes to the whole point that we're not the most fashionable people.
Okay, since we're on the topic, like, I don't think most guys are supposed to be, right? Like,
no, yeah, I see your point. Yeah,
right? Like, I would say most women who would say a guy wearing like a nice pair of shoes, right? Like either like just some simple boots or maybe all white Air Force Ones or something like that, blue jeans and a plain t-shirt, like that's not a bad base, right?
yeah.
Like Monday through Friday, maybe throw on something with the collar for a date night or something, or
Yeah, like a
uh
dress shirt, nice dress
pick
shirt
out,
for a date night.
yeah, something where you're like no chips and salsas tonight because you're gonna fuck it up. At least that'd be the rule with me.
Exactly.
But like,
Or soups.
yeah, dude, I've had shirts get murdered by fucking soup. Like it's bad. Like I have like
Yeah,
dedicated soup shirts. Like
they're just all filled with blobs of food and everything.
dude, pozole. Oh my god,
Oh god, dude, that leaves
that's
such a
harder to get
terrible
rid of. Like,
stain.
feel like a serial killer trying to get that stuff out. That's like a blood stain, just doesn't go away. Like, um, yeah, but dude, I don't feel like I feel like on the average day of some dudes wearing uh slacks, a vest, fancy shoes, like dude, like what are you doing? Like, not taking out the trash in that, right? Like, you're not gonna be
Yeah.
mowing the yard in that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's a very particular that's a condo guy. That's a guy maybe lives in New
yeah,
York, doesn't have a yard. Like that's not the guy who's gonna let the dog jump on him, right? That's not kind of guy who's gonna come home, pick up the little baby that has all sorts of dirt or whatever, maybe some mocos or something, and put him on the shirt. Like he's not. No, hey, Dad has a $500 shirt. Like put him on the couch or something like that. So most men should not be ultra fashionable. And then here's the other thing: can we afford to be?
Oh yeah, that's
Like
another thing.
like the
I've noticed
$500
men.
sneakers. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I've noticed men's clothes are way more expensive, and I mean I don't know why. Could be that we don't buy clothes as often. That's how they make their profit. But yeah, they seem to me way more expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. So like the expensive part, like, and again, the especially high fashion, like
Yeah,
I don't tuck in my shirt. What's the point of buying a $500 belt?
that's true.
Right? Like,
like a
You know what I
Hermes
mean?
belt or
Like,
something. Like, I'm
well,
not gonna
what's what?
show that off.
Yeah. What's the point of buying like a $200 wallet if I got $20 in it? You know? Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know, all that stuff. Like I get if you could live in that world, but like most of us don't, right?
Yeah.
Most of
Yeah.
us don't live in the Michelin star restaurant world. Like we go there, like we're like, oh shit, fucking, you see the price on this shit? Look how tiny the steak is. Look at like, hmm, some
40
bullshit.
bucks for that
I want
shit?
to,
What the
yeah,
hell?
dude. Have you gone to like a nice steakhouse, like a nice steakhouse?
I've gone to nice restaurants where the portions are really small, and I'll eat there
S-
and just come out saying like, you know what, I need something more. It's not enough.
s- So when I was at conference about like a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
um, told a friend, let's go somewhere like nice, like a place that we probably wouldn't like treat ourselves to, like back in Lexington. So we went to what was it called? A Morton Steakhouse, which is like a big chain, nice restaurant. If that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
um, I don't know what they have in Santa Fe, but they might have like maybe a Fogo de Chao or something
Yeah, I've
similar
been
like
there.
that. Um, so it'd be like similar to that, but like just a normal steakhouse. Dude, I
Mhm.
got like a 10-ounce fucking New York steak. Guess how much it was for just the steak?
Just the steak, 40 bucks?
Dude, it was like $50. And then
Damn.
every side was like $10.
Yeah, and that's what I hate about those
So,
restaurants is that they just start adding up those little sides, and it makes comes out to 200 bucks for 2 people.
dude, but I found out the easiest way to tell if a restaurant's too nice for me. Like,
What's
it's it
that?
starts it starts like I get skeptical if they have cloth napkins. That's where I'm like, let me let me look around. Where's the nearest exit? Because I might need to fucking run out of here. Like cloth napkins, I'm highly suspect of the place. Then if that fucking waiter wants to put it on my lap, oh, dude, no, I know I done fucked up. If they're willing to put that like the Olay me and put the fucking like a bull, put it on like put that the
Yeah.
thing on my lap, like at that point it's too much for me. Like I'm like, okay, this place it's definitely out of my price range, it's out of my comfort zone. What the fuck am I doing here?
I think
Because
it was you who
chances are,
said, the shadier when you're looking for a restaurant, when you're out and about, the shadier the place or the more you feel like you're gonna be in trouble, the better the food is gonna be. Were you
that's
the
like
one that
a
said
old.
that?
I think I told you that was like a El Madrigal. That's a comedian.
Yeah,
One of his jokes is
yeah.
like, if you go to get Mexican food, you gotta be like shaded, like kind of like on edge, and be like, let me get 2 tacos, the El Pastor, and how much for the I Am Legend DVD? Like, he's like, you got to be a little on edge. If it's on edge, you know it's gonna be good. But like, I remember when I was in Santa Fe one time, you sent me to a Mexican restaurant. I was like, dude, that was like fucking $18 for some bland ass fucking non-spicy Mexican food. Like that was some white ass shit. And you're like, oh well, it's a nice place. Well, I didn't want fucking nice. I wanted good. Like I want them to cut corners, and like I wanted to have a little bit of grit in it. Yeah,
Yeah.
if a place is too nice, like fuck that. Like I'm worried about the price. I'm just not going to be ever be comfortable, dude. This guy, when we're at that Morton's place, he had some bread. I think you figured like, oh, dude, these people are gonna probably want bread. Like they've been looking at the menu too long to only order what they ordered. So they brought us some bread, and like you're ripping it, and you get little crumbs. This fool pulls out a card and freaking sits there and very like classily like scrapes them off the table. I was like, dude. And then with the cloth napkins, I had a piece of gum. I was like, fuck, what am I gonna do? I was like, sir, can I bring a napkin? Can you bring me a napkin? Oh, you have one, sir. And I'm like, I have gum. And he's like, oh, of course, sir. Like he came over, like gave me a napkin to spit in there. Like he immediately took it away, and I was like, oh, I fucking nice place, good experience, not worth it. I'd rather go to $30 all in, baked potato, fucking give me some shrimp on the side and a steak. Like,
Yeah, that comes back to growing up broke, to where as a kid, or not as a well, as a kid, you kind of were self-conscious, or not self-conscious. You kind of looked at the menu, you saw the prices, like, it's kind of pricey now. I don't know. Or you're a little more worried about the money when you're growing up
yeah,
broke.
we're broke. It's like the worst, like the nightmare of like AI. Like we become self-aware too soon, right? Like
Yeah, it does.
let's add 3 something next to the orange juice. That's the price. What the fuck? Like, and the soda's only $1.50, and the soda has free refills. Oh, dude, free free refills. Like, if we went to Chili's, dude, poor lady, like, I would have her running back and forth to that soda machine, like, no less than 6 times. Like,
Yeah.
it was it was game on. Like, free refills was a challenge. Like, okay, we'll see. We'll put you to the test. You know.
Dude, when I was a
Yeah.
waiter and I got those people that just kept wanting refills and refills on iced tea or water or whatever it was, I just took them a picture. Fuck that. I ain't coming back. Here's a picture of iced tea or water. Go at it. I'm not gonna worry about it.
Did your high school have the Sadie Hawkins dance?
No.
So Sadie Hawkins dance is a dance some places have where uh, it's a dance where the girl asks the guy to it.
Yeah.
You know, so the gender roles flip. I probably can't have that today. Uh,
Yeah.
um, but Sadie Hawkins dance. The group of friends I was with, like we all went to this restaurant where forget the name of it, but like the gimmick was that like all the waiters wear like Halloween costumes, and you know they're dressed up and
Yeah.
they're a little bit like relaxed, not rude, but like informal with the customers, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so after I got like my second refill, uh, the waitress comes out with a freaking pitcher, and there's like a pitcher of lemonade, and she like put like 3 straws together, you know.
Yeah.
And it was a good laugh. And I'm there, and like we finished up eating, and we're about to leave, and my date's like, "You're not gonna leave that, are you?" Fuck, dude. So I picked up like half a pitcher of lemonade, and like I had to like pound it to the head because I got called out by my date that like I was being a pussy for fucking leaving it there. Uh,
Oh, shit.
but dude, it was cool because I told her because that place again it pushed the limit. They had cloth napkins.
Yeah.
And so I had told her, I was like, I always wanted to like to take these home, dude. So she was pretty cool about it. She stole us 2 cloth napkins on the way out. Like, she's like, look what I got. I was like, fuck yeah.
Oh, shit.
So I don't know how we went down that fucking rabbit hole, man. But
Dude, that was like half the episode right there.
yeah. So on to the next, topic we had scheduled, 9/11.
Actual topics.
Fuck. Yeah. Where were you at when the news of 9/11, the planes hitting the towers, like at what
So
point were you aware of it?
I was 5 years old. I had lived in Mexico for like 3 years before that. Um, so I was barely coming into United States, and um, I then was watching. I was actually watching the TV. I wasn't even in school. I was
Yeah.
watching TV, and I started seeing like the twin towers and whatnot. And to me, it was like, that's kind of weird. Whatever. And eventually, as I got older, I started thinking, oh, that's what it was. But yeah, I remember watching it on TV.
Yeah, my dad. So again, I think the towers went down like 9:30 East Coast time.
Yeah,
So
8:30, I think, is when the first one hit. Like 30 minutes later is when the second one hit.
yeah, so my dad wakes up for work probably like at 6 a.m. And he's probably on the internet, whatever. Then something happened about 6:30, 7 o'clock. He runs into our room. Wake up, wake up, wake up, we're being attacked. Like,
Oh shit.
fuck, like we go out there, put on the news, and like again, this is the internet was alive, but like there was no Google search as we have today. right?
Yeah.
Like it was searchable, but it wasn't on demand. It wasn't streaming yet. Like
Yeah.
it was still almost like a newspaper. It was a little bit behind, so it would take an hour or two before something relevant would come out. And so like, what the fuck? What's happening? Like the whole world was still like kind of catching up, and literally like the
Yeah.
West Coast is waking up, and like what the fuck, dude? My dad still sent us to school, like,
Oh,
like
really?
yeah. But I think our impression was like it's on the other side of the United States. Like
Yeah, you were in California at
that's
the
not
time.
us. Yeah, and we didn't live in LA. Like we lived in a suburb of LA, like Los Angeles City. The heart of LA is like 30 minutes away from us, or like 20 miles, 15 miles. For like, if something does happen, it's not gonna hit us. Like, who's gonna what's gonna hit our middle school? Because I was in
Yeah.
middle school. Um, and like, what's gonna come here? Nothing. And like, I remember like there were some kids who were taking it like pretty hard, and like me and my friends like, dude, what the fuck? Like, and
How
like
old
looking
were
back,
you during that time?
I was in eighth grade.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're pretty much aware of what was going on.
kind of. But dude, I didn't know what the twin towers were. Like I'd never heard of the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
Like, um, dude, I barely started like playing like basketball with friends because I was always like football and baseball like growing up. So
Yeah.
like, dude, like my world was very very narrow. Uh, so anything like government or politically or anything like political, like I had no idea. I wasn't tuned into that. Like I'm very like, dude, when you brought up that Russian oligarch that or the guy who led the thing, I was like, who?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I've never like I'll get plugged in on some weird shit, but a lot of some other shit just like like it's not. I don't see it around me. It's not in my radar. It's not something I plan on running into. It's just, and maybe
Yeah,
it should have been more apparent, more important.
when it comes to politics, it's hard to get into it. I'm into it just simply because I find it interesting how the world functions in that sense, and how decision out in the middle of Europe can affect us. But if you're not really interested, it's hard to really keep up with it.
Yeah, and I think like just growing up, our household is a lot like that. Like we weren't really
Yeah.
um we're really plugged in, but like, dude, I like sports, and like I didn't know for the longest time like what the Heisman Trophy winner, what that represented, you know.
Yeah.
Um, like that's like a big sports thing. Like most people would know what the implications of that is, but like like okay, like to me it was just it was nonsense. Like, but like again, I had a very particular set of things that I was like interested in, but just like politics, anything geopolitical, like wasn't one of them.
Yeah.
So dude, like I had never heard of Afghanistan. I was like,
All the stands for
fuck, who?
that matter.
Yeah, yeah. Osama bin Laden, like, and it's like, and then like we just watch things later, like, wait, we gave them weapons and they fought. When the fuck did they fight Russia? Like, you know,
Yeah.
then you realize like Rambo was in Afghanistan for one of the movies. Like, what the fuck? Sylvester Stallone as Rambo? That was in that country? What the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
whoa, okay. I was really dumb. So that's how I realized I was a dumb kid for I just wasn't exposed to anything.
Yeah.
Had no yogurt in my
I
life
think it's
growing up.
part of the culture. Oh shit! Did you hear that?
What was
You
that?
didn't hear it? It was
I
thunder.
heard it. Uh,
Shit.
I don't know. That was your inner
uh,
Hercules.
Dude, do you remember that fucking dog? Oh my god, he would run around just chasing the lightning.
Dude, lightning and thunder, dude. That dog was just out there barking, fighting it as hard as he could.
Dude, it
Like,
was so weird because he wouldn't be afraid of it. He would try and run at it, no matter where it was coming from. He's just hear
yeah,
it over there. I run over there. It's like he was a weird dog.
uh,
Saint Bernard for anyone that's wondering.
yeah, same. Yeah. um, yeah, I just like to me one of the biggest things about 9/11 that I recall or like can pull from was afterwards, like American Pride was at like an all time high. Um,
Yeah, this is one of the
everyone
times
was
where we were the
driving
most
around.
united, right?
Yeah, like I don't know if you would remember, but like in California, it was a big deal to fly around with like an American flag.
Yeah,
Some dudes are doing that from the back of their pickup trucks. They had like the little window flags that people would put on. Like
yeah,
um, it was a big like "Go America, fuck the world, fuck everybody else. We're number one, and we're gonna show you why." It was what's that like? Not galvanizing. That's not the right word. Um, but it, like really like just fortified America, like and brought us all to like one central point, which I think is so contrasting to where we're at now, where we're filled like maybe the only time we've been more divided was Civil War time, like you know,
yeah. No,
um,
it's a
you
complete
know,
opposite compared to where we were in 2001.
yeah, um, and yeah, just right now, like that post attack feeling, like everybody was uh, on the same page, and like
Yeah,
no matter what the cost, and like in some ways the government took advantage of it, like with Snowden released that, like they're with the Patriot Act, and how they're able to start maybe overextending themselves into our lives and
yeah,
what they're collecting on us and stuff. But like we're like, fuck it, like it means getting terrorists. We don't give a fuck. Like we got to get those bastards. Um, and I think it was also like we're gun ho about getting like we're like, oh yeah, we'll just go to war, we'll bomb them, we'll be done in like a month. Like that's what I mean. That was a sentiment of like like
yeah,
average American was like, it's gonna take 6 months at most to go over there and like, what are these
yeah,
guys got nothing like, and it's still what we're still fighting over there. We're still
yeah. It's
or
been what,
no
20 some years.
yeah, and it's just that land is so impregnable, right? It's so hard to get a full hold establish it. It's on the other side of the world, so to maintain it and just the cultural differences, and it's um yeah, it's really looking back at it all like um interesting where we were at that point, where we're at now, um and the fact that we pulled out all our troops and stuff, kind of, I know that's what like a lot of the guys who served over there, like they're disheartened by like what were we fighting for? Yeah, maybe we gave some reprieve for a while, but I thought the whole thing was to bring stability, and we just lost that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
it's almost like we lost the war, but we don't really want to say that.
yeah,
But going back to the whole point that the government kind of took advantage of that in 2001, where we were all unified during COVID. I mean, you would have told someone 20 years before COVID that the government was going to shut down every single business, and they were going to label certain businesses that weren't essential and some that were essential, and they're essentially going to control all that. Everybody would thought you were crazy, but again, they took advantage of that emergency and ended up just closing down businesses, which, I mean, it hurt a lot of people.
yeah. And I think that's, but like, you look at COVID, it galvanized us. Is that the right word?
Dude, I don't know
I
what the
feel like
fuck you're trying to
maybe.
say.
um, I feel like that's the right word, but during COVID, yeah, like we all were like, yeah, we got to take this serious. Well, eventually, we got to that point,
Yeah,
but then the fatigue happened. Like, how serious is this? And then um, the internet starts running wild with certain things, and then the fact of how the states started handling it differently. Like
yeah,
that's the thing. Like there wasn't the contrast to California and New York versus like the way maybe Texas and Florida handled it. Like with 9/11, everybody was up in arms literally about it.
yeah,
Like all our, the country music songs that were coming out. Toby Keith, like he exploded on the world talking about the Statue of Liberty shaking her fist, and like We'll put a Buddha in your ass. Yeah, yeah, but but the big thing about 9/11, all the people who lost their lives. I don't know what happened with the firemen that are still trying to get money, or maybe like more health benefits for the ones that are suffering from all the carcinogens and stuff that they took in the rescue efforts. Have you ever heard about that?
No.
Uh, John Stewart, he's kind of taken it up as like a personal battle a couple years back. But a lot of the guys who went into the building afterwards looking for bodies and spent weeks and weeks going through the rubble have have developed like these really bad respiratory diseases.
Oh
Um,
shit.
and yeah, yeah, and the money that was like put aside for them is kind of run out. So beyond the guys who lost their life the day of, and the people, the innocent victims of that day, it the fact that the heroes, the people who were looking for survivors, like so many of them are still in a fight in a sense that they have all these chronic diseases that and they're just trying to get the support and financial support to help them get the best treatment and stuff. And but it's one of those things that it's not on the front page news. It's hard to get, like
Yeah.
we're uh, there's so much information coming at us that it's hard for something like that to still captivate, even though I think most people would say they'd still care about it.
Yeah. The wild thing is I saw a news story today to where 40 I think 40% of the victims have not been identified 22 years later. I think it was a
Oh, they can't
thousand
find
one hundred.
can't
Yeah,
find the
so a
remains.
thousand
So
one a thousand one hundred people that died, 40% of them have not been identified. Which is wild. I mean, 22 years later, they
yeah,
still don't know who they are.
it's one of those things. I mean, they probably like one were like just smashed or burned beyond.
Yeah,
If it was melting steel, like it's gonna like there's what's gonna be left, and then it collapses tons and tons and tons. That you know, I don't know how many
yeah,
stories the building was, but like after you take some weeks in those conditions to dig them out, like I mean, at least the families, like it wasn't like they just the people disappeared overnight. They know where they happened, but it's unfortunate that they never had like a body to or
yeah,
ashes, I
yeah,
guess,
exactly.
to release. Say this is my son, this is my daughter. You know. Um,
Yeah,
so I guess God, this one might we're gonna have to punch it up some way at the end, but maybe we'll allow ourselves to get a little tinfoily with the Maui fires. Um,
yeah.
dude, I didn't really. I saw some clips of it. And it was pretty chaotic. Like the scenes that like these got people trying to drive out and
Well,
hearing that like
not only trying to drive
weren't
out, but
they didn't use
they were
like the
going into the
tsunami.
ocean.
Yeah, just like to sit there and just uh, uh, wade in it for protection. Um,
Yeah,
and like seeing the footage, like it looked like something out of a freaking disaster movie. Um,
yeah,
and what I found kind of disheartening was they're saying that like there was no didn't use any of their public service or public warning systems. Um,
oh shit.
Hawaii has systems in place for like tsunamis and stuff. But yeah, we didn't use those because that's for tsunamis. It's like
Shit.
that would that would at least woke people up. So
Yeah,
that's why some people died because like they didn't know the fire was encroaching, and they just slept, and by the time it hit them, it was too late. You know.
yeah,
Um, so that's what they're saying. Like this is like a really um, bad representation of like effective leadership. Like they're the systems that they should have had in place. Their community leaders, elected officials, like all kind of failed them. And coming up with and delivering like effective escape plans. And um, if you see the area, like it's the drone footage, it's truly just you don't realize like how like we see I've seen like with the California wildfires like
Yeah.
okay like that you think oh well they're up in the mountains like but when you see it just like knock out a whole neighborhood it's just like wow like where
Yeah,
do
and
those
it's
people go
scorched down.
how do they
It's
rebuild it
terrible.
yeah like how do you rebuild that like one thing's rebuilding like it's hard enough to get a contractor to do one house but of a whole neighborhood
Yeah.
needs to get built where are you going to put these people at like what do you tell these people that they literally have nothing overnight
Yeah.
no clothing no pots and pans no memories no keepsakes there's and then you compile that when maybe they're mourning the loss of a loved one their pets or like um
Dude, and finding something for the people in Hawaii is difficult because it's so expensive to live out there. It's not like they can just
yeah
find something easily and go and buy something the next day or the next month or whatever it is. It's so expensive out there.
and like that's what they're saying like and I've heard like some of the people who are renters even if the house they were renting at is standing they're being evicted from it
Oh
um
shit.
so they're like why am I being evicted like I still have a house to go back to
Yeah.
and so this is like I guess where a little bit of the tinfoil comes in like without getting into like oh whether it was a directed energy weapon or like that type of shit but like if a fire devastates an area that's of high economic value which obviously that real estate is it's
Yeah.
um, cultural significance aside it's it's in a tropical paradise right like if you could put some high-end resorts um, drive get more tourist money in there like that's where certain capitalists and venture capitalists are going to want to put their money at is oh hey maybe we could go and like buy all these houses now they're condemned and we get a couple this and that we get x amount of square feet we can actually build this mega resort or you know and uh I know I kind of prepped you with it but the Chavez ravine like did you ever watch anything on that or no
No, I haven't watched anything on that.
so it was a place in California to where a lot of it was mostly Hispanics living there Mexicans um
Mhm.
very low income very dirt poor uh everybody had a little vegetable garden chickens goats kids wearing mismatching shoes like playing in the mud dirt the LA River like I watched a little thing on it it was just a very humble beginning like area for people
Yeah.
and what happened was the city of Los Angeles wanted to put in a public housing development and I forget the number but I think they said it would be equivalent of like making a $1 billion investment in today's money
Damn.
to build low income housing yeah
Yeah.
and what they told these people said hey uh, sell us your house but here's the thing when you leave you'll be able to we'll give you this voucher and you'll have first grab at what the houses or the units or the apartments that we put in this area. So people are like, oh, fuck it, like, all right, like we'll take the money and then maybe in a year or two, once they build it, like we'll be able to come in and buy something new and nice and with all the utilities and all right,
Yeah.
yeah, this sounds good. And I've always heard a different story of it. I watched the documentary today where there was genuine efforts to try to put that community in place. Um, Trying to do right by those people. But some of the people are like, well, I don't want to sell. And they were threatened or like bullied that if you don't sell, we're going to condemn your house and you're going to have to move out anyways.
Oh
Um,
shit.
yeah. And they're like, fuck, like, well, if they condemn it, it's going to have zero value, but they're offering me a good amount of money for it now. Like, should I just take it's more than I paid for it? Like, should I just take
Yeah.
that? Um, and yeah, this is like, I think post World War II, like right after that. So it's not
Yeah.
like today like the information age to where you could be able to look up what your rights are and like a lot of these are probably like first generation families if that like um,
Yeah.
and I think they're just ultra fearful. Some people actually like um, wanted to stay and like were held out, and they're forcefully removed from their houses. And what happened was the main developer or like architect of this, who's like making a super planned community, he got caught up in socialism like accusations.
No shit.
Um, and because of all the anti-socialism movement, and mind you, this is like the key of what happened with Oppenheimer and shit,
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
same time frame, like
Yeah.
that stymied the efforts to put in this planned community with all the low income housing. So like, oh no,
Oh
this is
shit.
socialist like views. They just want to do this, and like they're just trying to take over, and we gotta stop it. There's like a lot of like lobbying that went up against this planned community, and once that started, it really took off. And then so now this planned community went away. All these people are moved out of this area, and the people who own the Dodgers were able to buy it for like 10 cents on the dollar.
Oh
Um,
shit.
got a huge deal and ended up building Dodger Stadium in a place that technically they evicted and got people out of there on otherwise false pretenses.
Fuck.
So
Damn, that's so
I think if you look at Maui, Ilahani, like, what if they tried to do something? Oh no, okay, we're gonna rebuild the house, we're gonna make it better, everyone's gonna get this. He gets caught up in some scandal, right?
yeah.
Oh, the developer you guys all signed with, you know, killed his wife or some bullshit, right? Like something crazy.
Yeah.
He jareded a couple kids.
Oh shit.
He subwayed them.
Reference to a last episode.
Yeah, go watch it. Um, and now that whole development overnight goes away, and some huge, uh, you know, uh, huge corporate, corporate faceless corporation comes in and says, oh, hey, we'll buy it and we'll actually develop it. We'll put in these nice apartment buildings for all the workers who are going to be working at our hotel. And
Yeah.
so I think that's going to be the thing. Like, we'll see. I think there's going to be enough media coverage for them to fight it and actually maintain their culture. And I think that's what it's going to be really hard for them to kind of deny those people the rights to rebuild their lives on that land. Um,
Yeah, especially
Especially
with
since
social
like they have
media right
such a
now.
spiritual tie to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with social media, it's gonna be kinda difficult for them to get away with it.
Yeah. Because like think about it, let's say it was like New Mexico, right? Like where you're
Yeah.
at, like, oh hey, something happened. Uh we need you guys to move 20 miles this way. Like, fuck, okay. Like, give us enough money. Like, you're still in your right area. Like, Maui doesn't have that type of land. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
They just can't say like, hey, let's just dedicate this other 100 square acres, for people to build uh their houses where, maybe a laboratory messed up, started some drastic wildfire in New Mexico, burnt down everybody. Well, and like contaminated the land somehow. Well, let's put them over, let's move them all over here. We'll give them money, we'll make it better. You can't do that in Maui.
Yeah,
Like,
no, not at all.
you literally can't unless you take the land away from Oprah.
That's true.
um,
So what was that Project Bluebeam that people were talking about, the directed energy attack?
yeah, so pretty much they're saying that these fires seemed like it had a mind of its own, and it was targeting houses and skipping houses. And okay, like, I if I had to be like overly like, let's say I wanted to be a conspiracy theorist on this,
Yeah.
um I could see using something like a directed energy weapon like a laser to initiate 1,000 spot fires, right?
Yeah.
That looking at the wind pattern, say, hey, if we hit these 1,000 places right now, it's going to make one giant fire that's going to be unstoppable. Um, I could see doing something like that, but they made it seem from, or at least from like the reports of people talking about that, it was like a sustained laser, like only melting this car, but not the blue car because it doesn't work on blue
Yeah.
cars. And to me, it's fires. It could take something very small to start them, but in the right situation, if there's all you need is some debris, but for a fuel source, you have oxygen, and then you just need something for that ignition. And so I can see using lasers to ignite a bunch of small fires to cause like this perfect storm, if you will. Um, but using it in a sustained way to strategically burn an entire, I don't know what the square footage that was affected. Um, but I would think just the energy requirements to do so, where like where are you launching these lasers from? Space? Like what, think about the solar panel array you would need to power that, or what, how, like I don't know if there'd be, if any of the like if we have like nuclear reactors up there, like how much energy they would be able to produce to sustain such a type, such a laser enough
Yeah.
um to ignite metal, right? Like to melt metal
No,
to
when it comes to fuel source, I mean, the car itself has gasoline in it, so it has a fuel source to melt the metal. And again, if it's melting a red car, a yellow car, a white car, it's gonna melt down the blue car. It comes down to materials really. And if it has enough energy
yeah.
to melt down those cars, it's gonna melt down the blue car too.
Yeah. Again, I would want to see more comprehensive footage before I start believing that blue thing, because I've seen one where like they pulled out these t-shirts, but it's like all it would take for that to get sandwiched in between a couple layers of debris, perfect, and then the
Yeah,
fire would pass over it. Now, if they show like like this would be terrible, but if they showed a person wearing a blue t-shirt where like the person was charred, but the t-shirt's still intact, like nobody's showing like
yeah,
something to that extreme,
yeah,
like we haven't seen that to where the t-shirt protected organic matter underneath.
yeah,
Um, you know, I think there would be some evidence of that. Um, I saw one where they showed a flower pot, but I was like, like that was made of probably ceramic material.
yeah.
Like that's not going to catch fire, and that's a great heat dissipator. You know,
Yeah, and
um,
I've seen, footage of buildings being hit by the energy ray, and I started looking into it. It's like, yeah, it was actually footage from, like, 7 years ago where this fire happened, and they just edited the video so it could look like a beam was hitting the building. So it's a lot of
yeah,
weird things that are being manipulated, and I doubt it holds any substance at this point.
and to me, it would be like, okay, let's say let's if we accepted that it was a directed energy weapon, what's the intent? Is it strictly just to destroy all these houses in such a way that is easy to evict people? I don't know. It just seems like a lot of work to
Yeah,
like um and uh again, I think there's things that happen that uh it seems like just the fire and the reaction to the fire were handled so poorly
yeah,
in an area that has a lot of disaster prevention methods, like Hawaii in general. I'm not gonna, I don't know them island by island, but like they they deal with volcanoes, right? Like
yeah,
I don't know, I
yeah,
don't think there's any active on Maui, but like it's something that people know, okay, like how to handle them. Like I imagine, or they have had cousins or relatives, or they know people well. They hear the stories about how to survive in these things, and they have tsunami warning systems. Like why weren't any of those used?
yeah,
Um, like it seems like for like a red tape technicality that it wasn't a tsunami. Um, it's like that seems like such a cop out that like you wouldn't use that system.
yeah,
So I think that's where like it could be like, okay, it wasn't handled right and people definitely fucked up. But I need to see more proof before I start saying that. it was something like a directed energy weapon. Um, why for like why would the government do that for a tourist? Um,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
and I think the bigger problem here is the way the fire was the way the officials um treated the people, or the way they handled the fire, instead of actually doing something about it. And even now, the one-time payment of $700, that's not going to be enough for them. That's not enough for Hawaii standards,
yeah.
and how they live out there. I think the biggest problem now is the leadership.
Um, yeah, and I think just the lack of trust in the existing leadership. You
Yeah.
know, um, I think that's going to be a problem for them moving forward. Is you have these elected officials that they don't trust. Um, they don't like the way they've handled things so far. Because I've heard like they're like people within their elected officials are trying to put in rules or legislation temporary to allow them to circumnavigate or like around some of the laws. But oh well, this is an emergency, so we need this emergency uh, uh, government ruling to allow us to for the government of Maui to start uh, fixing the land or deciding what to do with it, and maybe paying people off if it's doesn't seem like they'll be able to reestablish their um, their the way of living that they had before. Um, so I will let me share your screen that you got there. So I do enjoy conspiracy TikTok. Okay, so this is Maui right here. What does it look like to you, A?
Head, a figure, basically.
Yeah. So people were saying like if you look at where the fires were, it's where the chakras are, and this is the
Oh my
giant.
god.
That
Yeah, I guess I kind of see the head here, like the torso.
Yeah, so they kind of showed like in the middle, like where the Lohani fires were, like that was like where the heart chakra was, and up the coast, like on the head, on the forehead, there's a fire over there. Like, um,
There's Lahana, yeah.
yeah, it's like that. Like that's like the chakra of your forehead, and like there's another one like that was the heart, and like maybe this thing's coming, like maybe they're gonna try to excavate the area, and that's why it's being so cryptic and mysterious. But I'm like, come on,
Dude, the creativity that some of these conspiracies theories have, it's amazing.
did I get it? It's fun. It's fun for me to listen. Um, one that we were talking about slightly before this is like, are mountains just old trees, petrified trees? And some of the images they show, like, damn, that looks a lot like a tree that got cut. Like,
Yeah, it is wild because I mean, you take off the science hat, you ignore the science, whatever. Yeah, like, it kind of makes sense. Yeah.
yeah. Um, and yes, that was what they're saying with this. Like, oh, maybe it's uh uh there's some this island's coming alive or something. And I was like,
That's wild how perfect that looks, like a head and a torso.
it even looks like it has an earway. Like,
It does. Like right there.
yeah. And then like, have you ever watched Moana?
Yeah.
So that I have never watched it, but I guess like the island at one point like comes alive and then she lies back down and
Yeah,
like
it's exactly it. It's a giant island. Well, the monster. I'm gonna spoil it. If you haven't watched it by this point, you have to watch it. The monster in the movie turns out to be Mother Earth, whose heart was stolen. And at the end of the movie, when the heart is returned, she turns into the island and lays back down. It's pretty cool movie. But yeah.
so that's what they're saying. Like they like to hide it in our movies right in front of our face, and like they even showed us, and like the fact that they like quoted that like that movie as a conspiracy theory source, and I was like, oh come on. Again, a lot of fun to go down those rabbit holes, but
Yeah, don't get stuck there.
yeah, every now and then you gotta unplug from that and just go watch some Wild and Out clips or something. But yeah, man, I think that's it for today. Hopefully, so this will show on Wednesday the 13th. So I'm planning on that Thursday to go see My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. Did you watch any of the first two?
No, I haven't. I'll watch it. I'll try to watch it before Thursday so I can give you my 2 cents on it.
If you watch the first one, you're probably gonna want to go watch the second one right away. Like it's
Then
a good
maybe.
time. It's a fun. It's a good time. But yeah, I'll have some movie reviews. Maybe The Nun 2. I don't know if I have enough time to watch that one. I watched the first one.
I like those movies. I really like those movies.
But yeah, I'll try to get those so we could talk about that. And then I think Julian says he has a interesting undefeated topic that he's been itching to talk about for about a week now. So we'll see what type of fight he tries to start.
You'll love this
Friday's
one.
episode. All right, guys.
No, it's not the cookies.
If you haven't already, hit like, subscribe, drop us a comment of something you might want to hear us talk about, be it your favorite conspiracy theory you'd like to go after, or maybe a topic you want us to debate, whether it's undefeated or not.
And thank you, everybody. Take care. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, X, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, everybody.
Take it easy.